Hi everyone, let's talk about Monday Night Raw. I know this was like a week ago or so, but I'm probably going to do this fast and stuff. I know you probably won't like it or whatever. But anyways, guys, we had the opening show with the talent arriving in the arena. Then Seth Rollins out and stuff to start the show and stuff, and Seth Rollins with all that good stuff, and then Brown Breaker and stuff like that with Sami Zayn and talking crap about Sami Zayn and so on and so forth. And then Jey Uso came out and stuff and all that good jazz and all that stuff. And then Penta addressed himself in Spanish and stuff to Seth Rollins and stuff about their match later in the night and stuff. And then we had a recap of the Judgment Day winning their tag team titles and stuff, and Finn Balor plenishing their titles and stuff. And then we had the rest of them arriving, Raquel Rodriguez getting upset and all that with the Liv Morgan stuff and all that, and Roxanne Perez explains she made it for Dominic Mysterio, and Raquel points out all the stuff that Liv is not dead and all that stuff, and that should rehab shoulder and being out for 8 months and so on and so forth and all that. And then we had the cake stuff with AJ Styles and all that funny stuff. Then we had Kairi Sane faces Roxanne Perez, which was a good match, and Kairi Sane won with a backslide. And then the post match, the Judgment Day women beat down Kairi Sane down and whipping her into a big boot from Raquel and all that. And then Asuka made the save, and then did a lot duck, a lariat, and all that, and a shoulder block from Roxanne Perez and all that stuff, and all that good jazz and stuff. And then looking for a one arm power slam and all that stuff. Then we got a recap of Karrion Kross attacking Sami Zayn and stuff, and Sami tag team loss with Penta and stuff with the Braun Breaker, Braun and Braun connection and all that stuff. And then Sami Zayn is interviewed backstage, and Rip is still taping and stuff, and he says he's not mentioning things, and he's got too much on his plate, on his shoulder, and so on and so forth. And he loves to pay more attention to Karrion Kross and the revenge he's going to get on him, and so on and so forth. And then Scarlett rolls up out of nowhere and covers and spikes with nothing or sense to say, and so on and so forth. And then back from the break, the American Maid are in Adam Pearce's office, educating El Grande Americano in the match and stuff and all that. And they were all blubbering, and Chad Gable tried to sense that Americano is Gable and the sense hurt. But Adam Pearce, since he is here and he's healthy and he is wrestling, and Ivan Neville's in the Evolution Battle Royal and all that stuff, and so on and so forth. And then Nikki Bella cuts a video promo about how it's been a few weeks since she came back and things have changed, and she doesn't expect to get into an altercation with Liv Morgan, and she came to pay respect to the women of today. And Liv's questioned her and attacked her is lit a fire inside her, and she had time to think and so on and so forth and all that, guys. And then we went back from the commercial, and Sami Zayn's in the ring assisting. He can come over. The GM Adam Pearce, since the medics say he can go, and Adam says if he's sure, and Sami says he's good, and Adam Pearce lets him go. And then we had Braun Breaker fences Sami Zayn, and Braun Breaker won with a spear. Then the post match, Sami ascends and dry heavy and rolling to the apron, and then the backstage, Adam Pearce is chatting with the War Raiders when New Day rolls up, and their since wear all black and since and dark glasses and stuff, and they explain that the tag division's dead when Judgment Day won the belts, and they ask for their rematch and stuff like that. And the War Raiders remind them how they didn't get automatic rematches, and Becky Lynch rolls up there since them, and they tell them they had to make the right call to getting rid of a Big E and stuff, then send us to the back and stuff. And then we had the whole promo between Becky Lynch and Lyra, and Becky Lynch going back and forth talking about how they're going to beat each other up and all that at Evolution and so on and so forth. And then we had a video package recapping Rusev versus Sheamus, and then Seth Rollins is backstage with Braun Breaker, Ronson Reed, and Seth Rollins says he's proud of Braun Breaker and he's confused that he doesn't respond, and Braun Breaker is worried about carrying cross and people thinking he can't get the job done. And Seth tells him everybody knows he did it, and he put him down. And Paul Heyman rolls up out of sense, and then Sammy is out of action essentially, and they all laugh and so on and so forth. Then we had Bronson Reed fences Jey Uso, and Jey Uso won by disqualification. And then the post-match, Bronson Reed hits a 4-4-7 splash again, and the refs assert a sense and separate them as we go to the break. Then back from the break, LA Knight gets a video promo on Seth Rollins, and he says Seth has something that belongs to him, and the days are counting down, and he can't take the briefcase back, and he's going to make it a permanent part of him by sticking up his cursor up or jumping him in his head and so on and so forth. And then we get a video package built around the fact that Rhea Ripley has never beaten Io Sky, but she welcomes the challenge and all of that. Then we had El Grande Americano fences Dragon Lee and stuff, and then El Grande Americano won with a running headbutt. So yes, guys, with a running headbutt. And then the backstage, Paul Heyman sets up the shop next to Penta, and he says it in Spanish that tonight Penta's last night, and Penta doesn't take kindly to it. And Braun Breaker rolls up to say he doesn't want what Penta just said, and he says it better watch his tongue and all of that stuff. And then back from the commercial, we get a Stephanie Falcare video package about how she came to Raw to dominate. And then Gunther makes his entrance and gets on the mic about his coming match and stuff with that Goldberg match that happened and stuff. Then we had the main event, Seth Rollins fences Penta, and Seth Rollins won with the blackout and stuff. And then Seth Rollins centers and spins and slowly recovers while LA Knight ascension and gets general distraction. And that's what happened on the show. And yes, that's what happened, guys. And I gave this show a 7 out of 10, guys. And that's all I have to say about that. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit those notification bells as always, guys. And peace out and take care, guys. Peace out and take care.